Hello YouTube. So a few days ago I published my video going into the full story and lore from the Elder Scrolls Travel Shadowkey, a really old obscure Elder Scrolls game that I completed fully so that I could tell you guys about it. But did you know that you can go a little bit older and even a little bit obscurer than Shadowkey? Yes, today we're talking about the Elder Scrolls Travel Stormhold, another official Elder Scrolls game, but this time made for Java-enabled mobile phones in 2003. So, let's talk about that game's story and lore, which involves an epic prison break, or at least as epic as could be in a 2003 mobile game. So, the Elder Scrolls Travel Stormhold, a game which I would like to nominate as most frustrating to play in the series, and that comes from someone who has at least a few good hours in every game. And if you look at the gameplay on my screen, you will probably know why I nominated it as the most frustrating to play. Therefore, while I could definitely recommend giving Shadowkey a go with the UESP's excellent guide, link to that in the description if you want to try out Shadowkey, I can really not recommend playing the Elder Scrolls Stormhold unless you don't get frustrated quickly and just want to waste some of your time, in which case, go ahead, I'm not going to stop you. That being said, this game's story is quite interesting, as it's nothing close to a regular Elder Scrolls game. Rather, it's you, as a prisoner, trying to escape one of the Empire's most infamous prisons, the Stormhold prison, with this story taking place roughly around the same time as the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, according to developer interviews. As usual, the game starts with you creating a character. You can really only pick your class in this game, and your name as your race is already pre-selected based on which class that you took. Now, after creating a character, you're dropped right into the prison, to the one area which is safe in the entire prison, the prisoners' camp, where the mood is pretty glum, and you will meet the ragtag group of misfit prisoners who will help you on your journey to escape the prison and free the other prisoners. The first and most important person that you'll meet is Helga, a Nord healer who will heal you back up if you got knocked out or if you need healing, and will help you enchant stuff, and will also give you information on the main quest every here and now. Then there's Arantamo, who will help you with getting better at conjuration, destruction and speechcraft. Then we have Salagil the warrior, who will help you get better at light armor, longblade and restoration. We have Favela Dralor, the necromancer, who will help you get better at alteration, illusion and shortblade. Vander the Barbarian, who will help you with axe, blunt weapons and heavy armor. And finally Beneca the Smuggler, who helps you smuggle weapons and armor into the prison. You will also eventually get introduced to the Imperial Warden, Quintus Varus, a lunatic who's trying to use the prisoners' labor for his own ends. You see, Stormhold is built upon ancient Alien ruins, some of which we can freely explore in the Elder Scrolls Online, but in the third era these ruins are all mostly collapsed. You know, Elder Scrolls Online takes place about 800 years before this game, so in the meantime a lot of it collapsed. Now, Warden Quintus Varus is forcing the prisoners to excavate the Alien ruins and find the crystals within the collapsed parts. You see, the aliens who made their home under Stormhold seem to have dabbled in a strange kind of crystal magic. That's nothing new, of course, for the aliens. After all, Varla stones and Welkin stones, both magical crystals, which we can find in several games, are an alien invention. But the aliens under Stormhold dabbled into an even weirder type of magic. They were working on crystals which, according to legend, could store evil or evil corruption. Now, what exactly this means, we don't really know. I mean, we really don't. My best speculation is that these crystals were made to contain necromantic spells, or perhaps some sort of daedric energy or necromantic energy. But other than that, we have no idea. But Warden Varus believes that these crystals would be able to literally absorb evil itself, and thus he wants to excavate as many crystals as possible, and he's specifically looking for one big crystal, which according to legend was supposed to be located somewhere in the ancient Alien city. This crystal is the Big Storm Crystal, or Stormhold Crystal. Both names are kinda used interchangeably. Anyway, Warden Varus assumes that he will be able to cleanse all evil from the Empire using this crystal, thus making him a national hero when he finds it and uses it to make everyone in the Empire a good boy. Unfortunately, that's not how anything works. Even our resident magic expert Helga says that it's unlikely that that is what the crystal will do. But the Warden does not listen to prisoners. Even worse, he executes the prisoners who give off the idea that they know what he's planning. So the prisoners are forced to dig. Life in the prison is pretty miserable, there's very little food to go around, the guards regularly steal from prisoners, and they don't really intervene when prisoners fight each other. Prisoners also have to dig very long hours, and a lot of prisoners die within their first few weeks in the prison. And sometimes during the excavating, prisoners are even subject to ancient magical forces from time to time, that are most likely a result of the Elite experiments. These magical forces drive prisoners crazy, and then forcing the player to fight these prisoners, as these prisoners will fight everything inside as a result of this corruption due to that energy. That should already be the first hint that at least some of the crystals may not do exactly that thing which the Warden hopes that they will do, but yeah, your life at the prison will be pretty monotonous from this point on, because you will have to fight other prisoners, sometimes also fight alien zombies as new parts are opened up and those ancient evils are found in there. And really, the story just is very simple at this point. You see, while you play, the Warden has more and more places and tunnels excavated. You then have to go into said excavated tunnels and places and clear them, and go to the next, 36 times. This takes quite a long time and it's very frustrating to play. In the meantime, you're getting stronger through fighting and of course with the help of your ragtag team of friends who can train you. This kinda repeats itself up until the moment when the final tunnel to the deepest part of the alien city beneath the prison is excavated. At that point, shit kinda hits the fan because of course the Warden and his men find the Great Storm Crystal or Stormhold Crystal, and of course it doesn't seem like the crystal will ever cure the Empire of all evil, rather it oozes black magic and corruption, which leads to the corruption of the Warden and his men and a lot of prisoners as well. You're then forced to fight the Warden and his overseers in order to obtain the crystal. It's quite a tough fight, but if you succeed, the Warden lies dead at your feet, and you can claim the Storm Crystal and use it to cleanse some of the corrupted prisoners, which apparently it can do. And then you and the remaining prisoners can leave for the surface, and the game ends on the note that you entered the prison as a prisoner but leave it as a hero. It's a very short story with overall very little substance, with the substance of the game basically being in all the new tunnels, which are basically mini dungeons every time getting opened up. But yet the game introduces some interesting concepts. It's quite possible that these crystals, which apparently store dark energy of some sort, are the inspiration for what would become Welkin stones, which are used for storing magicka. And if they were Welkin stones, then this specific Welkin stone, the Storm Crystal, which instead of storing magicka seems to have stored dark or daedric energy of some sort, would likely be an experimental version that some elites were working on. And likely the sentence that it stores dark energy somehow made its way into legend and was then reinterpreted or mistranslated as storing evil, which then led Warden Quintus Varus to his madness and to forcing the prisoners to excavate it. I personally really like that in the Elder Scrolls Online, while not directly referencing these crystals as far as I'm aware, they did add alien ruins and tunnels under the town of Stormhold, and even made the game's Outlaws Refuge under Stormhold in a similar shape to Stormhold's prisoners camp, you know, the safe area, kinda referencing the old game in the series. Pretty cool, at least in my opinion. Anyway, that's about all I can say about the Elder Scrolls Travel Stormhold, and I hope that I managed to teach you something new about the Elder Scrolls lore today. And if I did, why not return for the next Elder Scrolls lore video, probably coming weekend. Oh, and if you want to see me unearth some really obscure Elder Scrolls stuff, why not head over to my Patreon, where I recently released a full 16-episode playthrough of the Elder Scrolls Shadowkey, one of the most obscure Elder Scrolls games, with my commentary of course, and where I also sequence borrowed my way through the Skyrim board game to show every bit of story and lore in it until the story got super broken. So head over to the Patreon in case you're interested in that sort of thing. That being said, thanks for watching the video, and all that remains for me to be done is to thank my top Patreon supporters, Mr. Bernardo Binda, Gabriel Binda, His Soul, Aiden Matlock, Doji, K Legend M, King Chris, Volkjor of Argonia, Devin Mattingly, Leo Worley, and Sort of Bushido. These wonderful people, along with all the others on screen, make my videos possible, and for that I'm very grateful. Alright, see you next time.